Hey, Ping. I love your input. Thank you for answering all these questions. My question is about motocross and supercross. I was once in the Charlotte airport. I was flying to Florida for a supercross race, and Ralph Shaheen was in the same gate as I was. I overheard him talking to someone saying that he would prefer if it was supercross year-round instead of supercross half and motocross half. With his reason being that more fans watch supercross than motocross, and that we would actually get to see some really cool areas that have open stadiums for supercross, since it would be different times of the year. And I was just wondering your input on this. Thanks.
Thanks for that, Roger. It doesn't surprise me that Ralph wanted to see more supercross rounds, because that would mean he's going to get paid more. He's doing more races, more work. So for him, a guy who just announced a supercross, of course he wants to see more supercross. Here's the problems I see with that. First of all, injuries. How many guys do you think are, I mean, we struggle to get guys through 17 rounds as it is. Imagine adding 10 more to that. You'd have local privateers landing on the podium by the end of the series. It's just too much of a meat grinder. I don't think these guys can get through many more rounds than they're already doing. So for me, I see that as a huge issue. Also, true motocross fans, true fans of the sport, they love outdoors. It's a place where they can be right up against a fence line and their guy comes through and buries them in dirt. I mean, there's just something a little more visceral to watching a motocross race compared to sitting in the stands. And I love Supercross. I like them both. But there's just something about moto that connects you a little bit better, I want to say. And I'd hate to lose that. And lastly, I think that motocross is a lot more relatable to somebody new getting into the sport. So if you go buy a bike, or you're thinking about it, and you go to a national, that's a track you can go ride on a day when it's not a national, right? You can relate to that. Whereas if all you have to watch is Supercross, man, that's a big bridge between getting into the sport and seeing what high level guys are doing in a stadium. I think it might be too much of a disconnect, and you lose some of those new fans. Personal opinion. I don't know if that's right or not, but I appreciate you taking advantage of our new video option. Anybody else that wants to do that, just take a little video of yourself like Roger did and shoot it over to ping@vitalmx.com. Our second question, this comes from Jay Barnes. Hey Ping, two-part question here. I know our sport's unpredictable, but besides a more mature Sexton, I don't see anyone stopping Cooper Webb from winning 2 to 3 more Supercross titles in the coming years. Agree or disagree? Also, besides McGrath versus Emig in 94 to 96, or James Stewart to Chad Reed in 06 to 09, have you ever seen a rider completely dominate another like Cooper does Roczen? At this point, it's almost at will and even expected by everyone, including Kenny. I thought before this year, and even in the early rounds, that Kenny was much faster and better physically, and then it was all mental. But Webb has definitely disproved that theory the last 6 to 8 weeks. Thanks for all your hard work for our sport. Jay Barnes. Well, let's start with your first part of that question. The only two guys I see really stepping in and stopping Cooper Webb, outside of Roczen, if he can gather it together and finish out the season as strong as he starts it, are Chase Sexton and Adam Cianciarulo. Those two guys have the potential to come up and challenge Cooper and eclipse what he's doing. Now, Cooper's on it right now. Everything about his game is just spot on. He wants it more, like he's just hungrier. Everyone else is wearing milk bone underwear and he's a hungry dog. He's coming after him every time. It's crazy. His racecraft, watching just how he knows just how much, at that round in Atlanta when Kenny went super wide, I think he was expecting Cooper to dive in and he could just square him up. And Coop's smart enough to go, okay, I know what he's going to do. I'm going to turn tight and block the line that he's anticipating he's going to take. I mean, it's just these split-second decisions he's making that are just spot on. And he's also turning a tighter radius than anybody. Dungey did this masterfully back in his day. If you watch guys in the main line, or they'll cut down a little bit, Coop's inside of them turning even tighter and carrying the same corner speed, but just turning a tighter radius. And I think that it's something that those guys at KTM worked on with that bike and that chassis, and they've got it dialed, and Cooper's taking advantage of it. So I think you're right. There's definitely something to what you're saying. We could be on the verge of a Cooper Webb juggernaut here for a while. When you talk about him dominating Kenny, I don't know, man. You know, there's a lot that goes into racing, and like I said, Roxon came out super strong this year. I thought it was going to be his year to win, but you start to look back at history now, and he does this every year. He comes out firing, and then it just like slowly tapers. Whether it's a physical thing, keeping that mental focus, or believing and kind of dealing with the series as the points get tighter. I don't know what the cause is. I don't think Kenny does. I'm sure he's a little bit frustrated, but you know, I'm not gonna compare him to other people. There's always been dominant riders in this sport. Whether you go back to Hannah, RJ during his run, you know, there's guys that come along and just figure it out mentally, and they're tough to beat during that time period. So right now it's Cooper Webb, love it or hate it. So thanks for the question, Jay Barnes. Appreciate it. And lastly, this is from the Track Kid. It says, Ping, being an elite, and he's got in parentheses, mediocre, top level, parentheses, age class racer, trying to improve my career results, a couple races I do a year. Here's my question. With local moto races being 15-ish minutes long, is there a benefit of practicing the standard 30-minute motos versus more realistic 15-minute motos? I know fit is fit, and if you're fit for a 30, a 15 is cake. But intensity is different for 30 versus 15, as well as race strategy. Appreciate your insight and looking forward to the next Whiskey Throttle show, the Track Kid. I think you're on the right track here, man. You know, there's no sense in practicing 30-minute motos if you don't race 30-minute motos. I would say if your races are 15 minutes, maybe do 20s. That gives you a little bit of a stretch, kind of factor in for the extra pressure and stress and anxiety of a real race. But I think it's really important to practice for the length of time you're going to be going. And like you said, your intensity will change. So mix it up. Maybe you do 130 every couple of weeks just to get that longer moto in, but mix it up with some 2 and 3 lap sprints. You know, this is something even top level guys do. You've got to work on speed and pushing and trying to sort of advance your skill in whether it's turns or sections, but learning to come in faster and see where the limit is. There's really no other way to learn, right? You got to push until you go, oh, okay, there's the limit. I lost grip with the front wheel and went down. So I would say just mix it up a little bit. I would say 20s are probably your bread and butter, but throw in some 2 and 3 lap sprint days where you're just working on speed, working on sections and technique. And then, you know, maybe one day every couple of weeks you do a 30 and see how your long cardio is. If you're trying to build a cardiovascular base, I like to do it off the bike, do it on a bicycle, go for an hour-long bicycle ride, do a 30-minute run, swim, whatever it is you like to do, but you can build that cardiovascular base off the bike, and then it'll translate to the motorcycle just as well when you start building off of that platform. So ibuprofen for any soreness, Midol for any cramps, and I wish you the best of luck, buddy, in those ever-important age class local races that really... that's where all the prestige is as far as I'm concerned. So good luck. Appreciate it. That's another @Ping. Hey guys, hit me up. Today I'm in my bedroom. Who knows where we'll be next week? Send some questions in and we'll get them answered.